Good morning, everybody. It's sad to say and terrible to say that the war in Ukraine looks like it is escalating again. For the last 3 weeks or so, there's been this uh, well trumpeted counteroffensive by the Ukrainian armed forces in the south of Ukraine, which has gone pretty much nowhere. What the Russians are doing is they're withdrawing from a village or two. The Ukrainian armed forces are advancing into it and saying, yay, we've captured a village, but what they've actually done is created a fire trap, and then they're blasting everybody who's gone into the said village from all sides, and then the Ukrainian armed forces and the poor young men, many of them have been conscripted and press ganged into fighting on the front line in the southern Ukraine in this offensive, have been slaughtered. And that's been going on for 3 or 4 weeks, and it's not going anywhere. And even some of the Western mainstream media are starting to say that this is not going anywhere at all. That happened, the counteroffensive, as it's called, started immediately after the Russian armed forces, the Wagner group in particular, captured the key city of Bakhmut in the east of Ukraine, and that would give them a base to then go on to the cities of Kramatorsk and Slavyansk, and then from there there's pretty much open space, all the way to Kiev. And so rather than letting that happen, they started this counteroffensive to draw the Russian armed forces into the south so they couldn't keep advancing in the east. But it's going nowhere, and it's just a complete disaster. As President Putin said in a statement recently, the attrition rate is 10 to 1. For every one Russian soldier that has been killed, 10 Ukrainians have been killed, because it's just a war of attrition. And the Russians are dug in the south of Ukraine with an iron line that can't be breached. So it's just insane to keep on throwing more and more young Ukrainian men at this, who are obviously going to get slaughtered. Even the Russian commanders on the front line are saying this is cruel, what Zelensky is doing in just sending the flower of Ukrainian youth to die in the south. He doesn't care about his own people. Was it the quote I see going round sometimes on social media? I think Sun Tzu, I think it's the quote. It says, a wicked man will burn down his own country to rule over the ashes. And that seems to be what Zelensky is doing at the moment. But that's not what I was really going to talk about. I was going to talk about the next escalation of this, because every time Zelensky, obviously, being a puppet of the US State Department, he's taking his orders from Biden and Victoria Nuland over in Washington, and supported by, the puppet Rishi Sunak in the UK, who's sending weapons and money to keep on propping him up. What they want now is a greater escalation, because every time they try to escalate with more weapons or open another front, it doesn't work. They don't get anywhere. They didn't push back the Wagner group in Bakhmut. They are not succeeding in their counteroffensive. So what's happened this week is something which should be very frightening to everybody, is that the British Storm Shadow weapons, which were given to Zelensky by Rishi Sunak a few weeks ago, well, one of them has been used to blow up a bridge called the Chongar Bridge, which connects Crimea to the rest of southern Ukraine. Now, earlier this week, Russian Defense Minister Shoigu said that if American HIMARS or British Storm Shadow weapons are used to attack the parts of southern Ukraine that are occupied by Russia or Russian forces and have had referenda to secede from Ukraine and become part of Russia, which they all have, Crimea, Kherson, Zaporozhye, Donetsk, Luhansk have all done that, then they would consider that the United States and Great Britain have directly entered the war and are enemy combatants, and they will take immediate action to destroy the decision-making centers in Ukraine. Well, what Shoigu warned about has just happened. The Ukrainian armed forces used the British Storm Shadow missile to destroy a bridge, a key transport bridge between Crimea and I think it's Zaporozhye region in southern Ukraine. So there you go. They've escalated to an insane degree here. And also what is happening is that Zelensky is saying the Russians are now imminently about to blow up Zaporozhye nuclear power station, which is absolute nonsense because the Russians control that nuclear power station. They use it to get energy. They're not going to blow up their own facility. So it looks like they're planning to attack it themselves, the Ukrainian armed forces, and blame it on the Russians to escalate even more and get more money, more weapons, more support, and create a false narrative that will turn what's gone beyond a special military operation now. It's clearly a proxy war, but it will turn a proxy war into a hot regional war. And we need to get out of this now. So once again, I'm going to say what I've been saying from even before this conflict started. Stop the war. This can easily be avoided if everyone cools down, de-escalates, considers the young men on both sides who are being slaughtered for nothing, and make peace.